All right, everybody, welcome to Patriots First and Goal. We are back from the bye week, rested, refreshed, and ready to make that long playoff push from the Patriots. No, we're not. We have 4 games left. We are playing out the string. We're not playing no playoffs. We are playing out the string. 4 games left. Cardinals on deck as the Patriots are looking to improve to 4 and a lot of losses. That's just the way it is. I am Alex Shane here to break down everything week 15 in the NFL somehow with my buddy Rich Hill. Rich Hill, how was your bye week? Relaxing? Restful? Do you watch any football at all?
Honestly, it was lovely. I feel like I got to just keep tabs on the games. I didn't necessarily fully red zone it the entire week, but there was a lot of really good games that took place. The Lions won on Thursday night. That was fantastic. The Dolphins continue to just bury the Jets. They won in overtime. It was a very good week. The clear winner of the entire week, though, Sam Darnold with the Vikings, putting up nearly a perfect game. Has he completely salvaged his entire career this year?
I wouldn't know if he salvaged his entire career, but he's making a very strong case for just stay the hell away from the New York Jets, and you might be okay. I would love to see him next year. I'm very curious what they're going to do with him next year because they drafted a quarterback pretty high. The Vikings did. Yep. And it's going to be very hard to bench Darnold after the season he's having. Maybe he completely blows it in the playoffs, something like that. But they have a very interesting conversation to be had. And I imagine a lot of teams are going to come knocking about him in the offseason if they decide to move on from him. Very, very interesting. I did not watch a single snap of football this Sunday, and that was also kind of nice. I live kind of close to the Delaware River in Pennsylvania, and the Delaware River should be familiar to history buffs. It's where Washington crossed the Delaware. There's that famous painting of him on Christmas Day rowing across the Delaware, and every year they reenact that at the spot or around the spot. So I was watching some very pathetic middle-aged men who live for these kind of things, get in a boat and cross the Delaware River. Don't know what it says about me, but I had a lot of fun doing that. That's why I spent my
time. Did you join? Where would you sit on the boat?
If I was sitting on the boat, I don't know how familiar you are with the painting, but there's a guy kind of in the back and he's like steering the rudder. I'd like to be like the rudder guy. However, the Delaware River is not that deep. They probably could have waded across if they really needed to, but it was Christmas night when it took place. I'm a history buff. I really enjoy history, so it was fun for me. But bottom line, it was nice to be away from football for a couple of days because as fun as this season is, it's also good to just not to worry about the Patriots losing a game and having to break it down with you. So I'm psyched to get back into it, kind of a little more refreshed.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I will say, though, even on a bye week, Patriots news still happening. How about we move into first down? Not necessarily NFL related, but Bill Belichick signing a 3-year deal to be the head coach of the University of North Carolina. Alec, what were your immediate reactions?
Yeah, was it 3 or 5 years? I thought it was a 5-year deal. I could be wrong. Either way, it's a multi-year deal in UNC. I don't know. I'm still kind of processing it. I'm not a huge college football fan. I enjoy it. It's a great thing to have on Saturday while I'm just like doing stuff around the house. I'll pay attention to the big rivalry games, but I'm not like a college football nut the way I am with the NFL. I always thought that the UNC, the Tar Heels football program was kind of like the redheaded stepchild of their sports program. Like their basketball team's really good. Like their women's sports is really solid. They have a good baseball team. They never really invested a lot into UNC football. They have some great players that come out of there, Drake Maye, obviously, and they have NFL caliber players that come out of there once in a while, but they really aren't a team that you see in the national championship. They'll make like the Doritos Bowl or the, Meineke Muffler Bowl or one of those minor bowl. But I feel like they are now all in on football now with Bill Belichick. He sent a pretty lengthy list of demands, and I'm here for it. I think it'd be really cool to see them dominate. I'm a Michigan fan because of Tom Brady. I'm now a UNC fan because of Bill Belichick. UConn football is terrible. I know you're a BC guy, a BC alum. Brown, I went to Brown University. Their football team is useless besides James Devlin, but I'm excited about it. I mean, it now makes college football a lot more interesting. I'll be very curious to see what he's able to do recruiting players out of high school. developing programs where you only have like a couple of years with the guy before he goes on to get to, it's a very interesting total departure from the NFL in that the absolute maximum time you're going to spend with a player is 4 years. And if he's good, probably less than that. So you're constantly churning over the roster. He's obviously ready to get back into coaching, and I'm psyched to watch it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know if you had a chance to read the Wickersham article on ESPN, but it's very clear that over the years that Wickersham is very tapped in with the Belichick side of the house. And it gave some interesting insights into why he made this choice. Because for me, I had such a hard time believing the reports that came out last week of like, he's going to UNC. He gave him a 400-page book of his plan on how he would turn that program around. And his son is going to be the successor in waiting 3 years down the road, all of those things. And I was like, but he wants to go back to the NFL, right? He wants to just have like 3 more really good years, gets the win record, and go off into the sunset. And then you read this Wickersham article, and it covers some things that make good points as to why he's hanging it up a bit on his own terms, where he is just so jaded with the NFL, it sounds like, where he gave everything to the Patriots for 2 decades. And then as soon as he cut ties, Kraft tried to bury him. It didn't work. Everyone saw Kraft for what it was, but he was like, wait, why are people treating me this way? He's like, the one team of the 7 openings last year, I got callbacks to one of them, and it was with the Falcons, and that got torpedoed by my previous boss making phone calls. What is this league? What is happening? And he must have done the feelers this year. And it sounds like the Bears were one of like a couple teams that might have been open to it. But in reality, they were leaning towards young offensive coaches, right? That's what the league is going to. You want the next Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. Like that's what people want. And no one wants a 75-year-old defensive minded head coach who has a legacy of wanting to have more control over everything. But you know where that works? College football. Yep. That absolutely works there, where he goes in there with that 400-page book. He's able to build the idea of, just really coach. He said that he's going to have a GM, so he doesn't have to do the recruiting on his end. He's going to hire someone who deals with all the NIL stuff. That is what is transforming all of college football. He's building an entire space for him where he can just coach. And that's what he really likes to do. Honestly, we joked about these over the past 10 years, or past 10 years we've been doing this podcast around how Belichick has often created the most difficult possible situations to try and make it interesting. When he had Tom Brady under center, it's like, okay, well, let's win if we can only throw to tight ends. Let's win if we can only throw to 7th round wide receivers. Like, let's see what we can do this time. And with college football, it's a new cast every single year. You maybe have 1 to 2 years with people before they go to the draft. And I think that's kind of exciting for him. It lets him just go down to the purest form of football for him, which is just saying, what's the talent on the roster and how can I maximize them? And if it helps all of these players get places into the NFL, which is what they're trying to do, then more power to everyone involved.
I'll tell you, man, there's 2 things I'm very curious about watching Bill Belichick coach UNC. One, Bill Belichick, one of the questions that was kind of arising toward the end of his tenure in New England that maybe in retrospect, the hindsight being 2020, we weren't really right in this, but I think I brought it up. I'm like, listen, people they're just not coached the same way anymore. The whole like, oh, you broke your leg, rub some dirt on it and get back out there. It's like, oh, you're coughing up blood. Well, finish coughing up blood, get back out there. Everyone's accountable. If you had 17 catches and 1 drop, the only highlight you're going to see in the film room is that 1 drop while Belichick rips you a new one for 45 minutes in front of everybody. That's kind of how he's coached. Are kids that were born in like 2006 going to be able to handle that kind of coaching style? I don't know. Is Belichick capable of being softer on these young 18-year-old kids who are fresh out of their parents' bedroom or their parents' house I don't know. I'm very curious to see if he can apply that get tough mentality and balance it with maybe the new reality. I don't know. We will soon see. And to your point, where you were just talking about in your beautiful little Belichick rant, like, I don't know if I buy that, like, he's officially never going to coach in the NFL again.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know if I think it's a 5-year deal. Could be wrong, but I think that 5 years, no way he coaches there for 5 years. Maybe he coaches like 2 or 3 and he goes back to like the Cowboys or something like that. He gets one more in the NFL.
Yeah, he has a 1-year opt-out, essentially, where it's like his buyout between now and 2025, halfway through the year, is $10 million. But I think it's like as soon as he gets to, through one season, the buyout is $1 million. So he'll be in position to go back to the NFL if the opportunity really does present itself. And I would be shocked if it didn't. There's also a few other things where I'm like, is he going to bring Patricia and Judge and all of those people with him to UNC? And if so, like, has he learned anything? Is he just going to go there and flame out? Is that possibly what's going to happen? And then on the flip side of the whole NFL side of it, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, they are the specter over the league right now. The whole idea of Belichick coming back for the wins record, is Andy Reid going to beat him to it? Right? Like, there's no one in a better position to do it. Andy Reid is continuing to climb up the charts for wins. And even if Belichick comes back in a good situation, okay, maybe he gets the win record and then Andy Reid gets it the next year. Was there a point to it? I feel like for him, he just wants to put himself in the best position to just enjoy the next 5 years before he calls it on coaching.
Probably. I mean, he's definitely earned it. He's got the accolades. If I remember correctly, Rich Hill, his protege, Bill O'Brien's at BC right now, right? Yeah. He's the head coach at BC. I don't know if UNC plays BC in 2025, but if and when UNC and BC go head-to-head, that's going to be much to watch football for sure. Too bad Nick Saban retired. That would have been a lot of fun to watch. A lot of kind of coaching narratives are now very popular, and I'm very curious to see whether UNC becomes in the conversation of the Ohio State, the Alabama, the Auburn, the Texas, the places where are basically NFL feeders. I'll be very curious to see how highly contested recruits, if they want to go play for Belichick. A lot will determine that. A lot of fun. It makes Saturdays more fun. But anyway, Rich Hill, this is not a UNC college football podcast. This is a football podcast, and the Patriots are back on the schedule. Let us go around the league as we always do for Week 15 in the NFL, and Week 15 in the NFL is a great time to make some picks. All right, Rich Hill, there's the 49ers Rams that happened last night. The game of the week, the game of the year, possibly, in my opinion, is Bills-Lions on Sunday at 4:25. I am praying to the football gods. This is the Super Bowl preview. This is a Super Bowl the whole world wants to see because somebody has to win that game. So one fan base is going to be absolutely miserable and one's going to be elated. That's what I'm going to be watching. Luckily, it's at 4:25. Exact same time the Patriots play in the Cardinals, Rich Hill. So I can watch both games at once, which sucks. The one time I want a 1 o'clock game, they're playing the same time as the Bills and Lions, but that's okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is a very good slate of games. Like, let's just be upfront here. There's some games that you might want to care about for draft pick if you want to, with the Raiders on Monday night, as well as, the Panthers playing at 1. You have the Jets and Jaguars both at 3 and 10. They're squaring off. You got the Titans. Then you also have the Giants hosting the Ravens. So I don't think the Patriots draft pick position will fare much better. But then on the other side, a lot of really good games. You mentioned the Bills and the Lions. You also have the 10-3 Steelers on the road against the 11-2 Eagles, two teams that are probably outperforming what they should be doing this year. But hey, they're contenders at this point. I would add in the Packers and the Seahawks as one of those sneaky, always exciting and interesting games. Something weird will always happen in those matchups. They're both also two of the better teams in the NFC. But my game of the week that I'm going to choose, the 12-1 Chiefs on the road against the 3-10 Browns. And don't laugh at this, because this is absolutely the type of game that you think back of, was it the 2010 Patriots when they lost to the Colt McCoy Browns, whatever year that was. It's going to happen here. It's absolutely going to happen here. The Browns are going to go off on this Chiefs team. The Chiefs are going to fall to 12-2. The Browns are going to win by something like 15 to 20 points. Everyone's going to be like, how the heck did this happen? And all of that cosmic and karmic balance that has been completely out of whack for the Chiefs this year will fall back in place a little bit at the hands of the Browns.
I'd love to agree with you, Rich Hill, and the logic is very sound because this is a classic trap game, and it's a game that the Browns could totally win. They're at home. They seem to be getting closer than farther. But the way that the Kansas City Chiefs are winning games this season just defy all common sense. I don't care how much you hate the Patriots. You cannot sit here and tell me the Patriots won games like this, the way the Chiefs are winning games this season. So what's going to happen, in my opinion, the Browns are going to be up by 2 points. They're going to intercept Mahomes at like their own 15-yard line with 25 seconds left. The Chiefs have no timeouts, and they botch the victory formation kneel down, and the Chiefs recover it and kick a field goal. And they miss the field goal, but somebody jumps off sides on the Browns. They get a second chance, and they kick the field goal to win it by 1 point. That's what's going to happen. That's the season the Chiefs are having. I think you had in our off air text thread with all the Pat's Pulpit and the writing staff and whatnot. You said the Chiefs are either going to go 1-and-done in the playoffs, or they're going to the Super Bowl. And I think you're 100% right. Hopefully it's the former. I'm just sick of seeing them, and I don't need to see a team three-peat. But maybe the Chiefs will win this one. I don't know. I'm watching Jets-Jaguars as well. I think they want the Jets to win that one. The Jaguars draft pick will be good. The Giants cannot beat the Ravens. Don't see that happening, unfortunately. So the draft pick is pretty safe there. Patriots are currently number 3. Who has the number 2 pick right now, Rich? Do you remember? Is it the Raiders?
It is the Raiders.
It is the Raiders. The Raiders-Falcons Monday night, that's a very winnable game for the Raiders. They're at home. They have some momentum, so go Raiders there. But the game that matters, of course, is Patriots-Cardinals coming off that bye week. Did they make any adjustments? What are we going to see as Drake Maye and company travel over to the West Coast? We'll break that game down right after this.
What's up, guys? Alex Shane here with Patriots First and Goal. Excited to tell you about Prize Picks. The NFL season is winding down and the Patriots are already out of the playoffs, but that doesn't mean you can't get in on the action all season long with Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in rewarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everybody. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 200 times your cash. So run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. That's right, you can now win up to 200 times your money on Prize Picks. It puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure, which means when my picks hit, I can get my money in as little as 15 minutes. Plus, Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. So join now this holiday season, because Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks this December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Weekly promotions lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesdays. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections to 25%, which means even more value for your lineups. So download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
All right, Rich, Patriots Cardinals, two teams who don't really have much of a history in terms of big rivalries or epic games. There's really not many memorable Patriots Cardinals games that have taken place. I think the last time these two teams played, Kyler Murray blew his ACL out like the second snap of the game, and it was kind of a laugher. Not much to really talk about in terms of history, but interesting matchup. The Cardinals are in the playoff hunt. They kind of need this game pretty badly. The Patriots do not need this game at all, but it would be good to see them come out of the bye week, make some adjustments. They made some personnel moves. KJ Osborne's no longer with the team. That shows they're really investing towards the long term. Who is part of the future? Does Javon Baker get more reps? Does Jalen Polk get some more reps? We will soon see. So start with the Patriots offense on third and goal. Patriots offense versus Cardinals defense. Where are the strengths of the Cardinals defense, and how are you trying to exploit that for Alex Van Pelt?
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty solid Cardinals team overall, right? I don't think that they're world beaters at any level overall. But what they do have is that they force opposing defenses to try and lead very long extended drives. Teams have had some success doing it, but they don't allow a lot of points. They have a pretty balanced defense overall. Budda Baker continues to be one of the better safeties in the entire league. I like Zaven Collins on the outside there, linebacker. From top to bottom, they aren't, I wouldn't say they necessarily have any like real superstars anywhere, but they're pretty solid everywhere. I think their secondary has some weaknesses. I wouldn't say that they have a number one cornerback that if you looked at it, you'd be like, oh, avoid them, right? They have Garrett Williams out there, Max Melton in the slot. They've had Sean Murphy Bunting as well, Starling Thomas. They've had a bunch of players in and out of the lineup at various points this year. No one really being the true takeaway person on this. They don't get their hands on a lot of balls out there, but also they make you lead those long drives. And so what the Patriots are going to have to do is that they're going to have to rely on both the run and the pass. There's not a very clear and obvious, you have to do this against the Cardinals defense. But what's going to have to happen is that the Patriots are going to need Drake Maye to make the right choice over and over and over again, which we've seen him do, right? A lot of the turnovers, we have to remember, aren't necessarily his fault. A lot of them are offensive line breakdowns, bounces off of Hunter Henry, not things that Drake Maye can really do anything about. And so what we need to do is spread the ball around. Just make sure that you're making the right read, staying ahead of the chains, having a success play, which means staying on schedule, and then they're going to be fine. This is going to be one of those games that I feel like coming out of the bye week, we really set the tone for where is Drake Maye and the rest of the Patriots offense for the success of the year. It's not going to get easier over these final 4 weeks, but if they can come out of this bye week and look good, if they come out, put up 25 points, I think they'll be in a good position to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I think the Patriots for a long time in the Belichick-Brady era, they came out of the bye week and they were on fire and they made some good adjustments. It's very difficult to beat the Patriots when you give Bill Belichick 2 weeks to prepare. Then they kind of fell off for a bit and they came out really rusty out of the gate in the bye week and toward the end of it. I'll be very curious in the first year of the Gerard Mayo era what they did in this bye week, how the coaching staff addressed the issues. Are we seeing the same things? The thing I'm most curious about, and my offensive X factor, is going to be Cole Strange, what they're going to do with him. He's off the pup list. He's practicing. There's talk of him starting this week, possibly at guard or center. I'd be very interested to see if he plays center. I know he can play center, but I don't think the Patriots have seen any real problems with Ben Brown. I don't think he's been some kind of disaster. So do you want to shift him away? Do you want to move him to guard? It seems to be the most logical place for me to do with him. But again, I think the thing we've been harping on all season long, Rich, is what's the offensive line doing? How are they continuously breaking down? They seem to finally found a little bit of a rhythm, but are they going to not shoot themselves in the foot this week with false starts, with holds, tuning on the field, illegal shift, guys jumping? That's what I'm really wanting to see. It's not like necessarily, I'd love to see 25 points, but I just like to see a stat line where they maybe have like 3 penalties for 30 yards. That's fine. I'd be okay with that. But you see these like 8 penalties for 75 yards, and if the patented Drake Maye 3rd and 12, he scrambled for 30 yards, coming back on the hold, or just the receiver didn't line up in the right place, or 12 men in the hold. These stupid things they've been doing all season long. Were they able to address that this week? I don't know, but that's really more than anything else. I'm looking for them being more disciplined this week.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's completely reasonable. I think my dream offensive line at this stage, based off of how players have performed, would be Vidarian Lowe at the left, Cole Strange coming in at left guard, Ben Brown in the middle, whoever is available as the other guard at right guard. I think Layden Robinson is who's getting the nod at this stage, and then Onwenu at right tackle, because DeMontre Jacobs cannot be the option at right tackle. That has been the weak link week in and week out. So you put your best player at that spot, and then everything else kind of falls into place with Cole Strange's return. It's not going to be an elite offensive line, but I think it'll be better than what it's been and help put them in a position where hopefully they're making the right choice, because DeMontre Jacobs is one of the biggest offenders for those pre-snap issues. And if you take him off the field, hopefully everything else can settle down a little bit. I like Cole Strange as that X factor. I think for me, I'm going to look towards one of the skill players. They need someone to get 100 yards on this one. They need someone to emerge. I don't know if it's going to be Ramondre Stevenson on the ground. You look at how teams have had a lot of success in varying amounts against the Cardinals. Some days they allow 150 plus yards on the ground. Some days they allow less than 80. They just allowed 176 on the ground to the Seahawks. But for the previous 4 games, opposing teams didn't crack 80 yards on the ground. And so what version of the Cardinals defense is going to show up? I'm not sure. I think that if we're talking about the game plan being keep this team on schedule, on cadence, I think that playing those high chance passes in the middle of the field, whether it's Demario Douglas, Austin Hooper, or Hunter Henry, that is going to be the play. The 3 of them, if I can make a collective X factor in a broader way, if the 3 of them can record over 15 catches and 150 yards and a score across the 3 of them, this Patriots team will be in a good place to win.
Let me ask about Javon Baker, Rich. With KJ Osborne gone, Obviously, like I said earlier in the podcast, they're looking toward the future. He wasn't part of their long-term plan, so great. Best of luck to him. He got picked up by the Vikings, I believe. Do you think Javon Baker sees some snaps this week, or is he still kind of a non-factor in this offense?
Yeah, I think he's a non-factor. I don't think moving Osborne really affects that. I think Osborne lost time when Kendrick Bourne got back. And that was obviously the one-for-one play there. And I think so long as they want Jalen Polk to continue to have the opportunity to develop, then he makes more sense to be in the lineup over Baker. I think that they don't really feel the need. I don't think Baker's really done enough to warrant the coaching staff to say, we want to figure it out with him. And I think that when you look at their Demario Douglas, Booty, Bourne, air quote, Polk as your quartet out there, I think that's fine. But I think also what we've seen is that Austin Hooper has made a lot more of his opportunities as of late. He's been very productive. And I think that they'll lean more in the 2 tight end sets as opposed to bringing an additional wide receiver.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just keep wondering what they're going to do with him. And as there are only 4 games left in the season and the page gets turned towards 2025, I imagine you want to amass some kind of game footage on him as you start to set your roster 2025 and beyond. And he hasn't really done anything to no fault of his own. He's had a couple of nice returns, but he hasn't really done anything in the receiving game. Why don't they at least play him for a couple of snaps, give him a deep shot? To that end, do we see more Jalen Polk action in this one? Or is it going to be just those 3 guys you mentioned as your X factor?
I mean, I think that Polk will get some opportunities out there. I think that the team will definitely balance Bourne and Polk with their snaps out there. He'll get opportunities. I'm not expecting anything from him. If he goes out there and he gets, multiple catches for 20, 30 yards, hey, that's better than what it's been. And so I don't have any expectations for it. I would like to and do expect Drake Maye to have to spread the ball around. Why I have 3 players being my X factor in a collectivity. I would expect that like 5 or 6 different players on the Patriots see 3 or more targets over the game. Will they make the most of them? There are some players that I expect to more so than others, but across the 2 tight ends, the big 3 receivers, talking about Douglas, Booty, and Bourne, and then both Stevenson and Gibson, I'm expecting at least 5, if not 6 of them to get 3 targets at some point.
What's up, guys? Alec Shane here from Patriots First and Goal to talk about GameTime.co. The NFL season is almost over, so that means there are only a few more opportunities to get your tickets to your favorite team with Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get tickets to not only football, but any sporting event, comedy, theater, you name it, Game Time's got it. Game Time's all-in pricing feature allows you to see the total cost of your seats up front with no surprise fees or taxes at checkout. Plus, you can get a panoramic view from your seat with the Seat View app before you buy. And now, with Game Time Picks, the curation makes it easier than ever to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, or anything else you want to go see live. Plus, that low price guarantee means Game Times will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time.
Yeah, and look, at this point, the odds of a receiver having a season he's having and turning it around magically at some point are just pretty slim. That's just kind of the way it is. On the flip side, I heard a fun fact today, Rich Hill, that Jacoby Myers, I don't know if you've seen this, but he's the only receiver in the NFL since 2000 to have at least 95 targets in a season and a drop rate of 0. So congratulations, Jacoby Myers. I'm so glad that they decided that Juju was a better option than you. Do your thing, Jacoby. But if 25 points be enough? Let's move to 4th and goal. Rich Hill. Patriots defense versus Cardinals offense. Kyler Murray, James Conner, like the Terminator, Marvin Harrison. They have a decent rising offense. Again, this isn't a world-beating offense. I think Murray's a very inconsistent quarterback, but they have some pieces and they can score points, as we have seen all season long. What is your strategy defensively to take these Cardinals out?
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty balanced team, right? I think James Conner is going to get his on the ground. They do have a little bit of a rotation, right? It's not only going to be Conner in the backfield, but he does do it all. He leads them. He has about 1,200 yards from scrimmage over the course of the year. They rely on him a lot. Kyler Murray puts enough stress on the defense that Connor's going to have opportunities out there. That said, Connor and Murray have combined for 11 fumbles this year. They play loose with the ball. If there's an opportunity for the Patriots to get away with something, it's going to be by forcing some sort of a turnover from either of those players. That's going to be one of the keys for the Patriots defense. Take advantage of those opportunities, because this Cardinals receiving group is pretty good. You mentioned Marvin Harrison. That is who I expect Gonzalez to be matched up against. I think it'll be a very good matchup. It'll be difficult. I would expect Michael Wilson to get the Jonathan Jones matchup. And I think that puts the Patriots secondary in the best possible situation against the wide receivers. But the big X factor for me is going to be whether it's Kyle Duggar, whether it's Peppers, whichever safety it is that is going to have to match up against Trey McBride, the Cardinals tight end, is going to be a problem. Because just remember, a couple weeks ago, how did Jonnu Smith look against the Patriots? Looked like a world beater.
Yeah.
Trey McBride is going to do the same exact thing. He has 851 yards, 0 touchdowns this year, but 851 yards on 80 catches. He is averaging almost over 70 yards per game. He is a focal point in this offense. He is their leading receiver. And when their tight end is the leading receiver, that really matters. How are the Patriots going to match up with them? They have been bad against tight ends this year. And so whoever matches up with him, depending on whatever DeMarcus Covington wants this Patriots secondary to do, that is my X factor. Because if Trey McBride has himself a day, there goes the entire possible advantage the Patriots could have. If McBride goes out there, he gets his 70 yards, I don't see the Patriots keeping pace.
I'm just hoping whoever that is not Jelani Tavai, because as much as I love me Jelani Tavai, that man cannot cover anybody.
Not at all.
It's just not what his strength is. It's not his fault. Not every linebacker can cover. It's funny. I was going to make Kyle Duggar my X factor, not because of any kind of coverage situation, but in terms of just what an overall disappointment he's been this season. And maybe the bye week was a time for him to kind of get his head straight. And we always talk he's playing out of position, but Peppers is back now. The safeties are kind of at full strength. So why would he be out of position? So we're very curious to see what Kyle Duggar does this week, because he's a good athlete. He's a good run stuffer. I think he's a good safety. He's just not playing well this year. So maybe he can have kind of a, I don't want to call it a breakout game, maybe like a comeback game this week, either as a coverage safety or make a big play or just do something to anything to justify the contract he got this offseason. That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's reasonable. It's one where he has been picked on a lot. I think that Tavai, as you mentioned, has faced the third most targets of anyone on the Patriots this year. Although I think when you look at it like a per game basis, he and Duggar are pretty even. They target Tavai. It cannot be him. He is not good. He is very, very, very bad, actually, at coverage. And so if that is what the matchup is, they lose out of the gate. They absolutely lose. I would be curious to see if they had any other alternatives. I would love to see a Mapu game out there. I think that would be an interesting matchup for them, because I also just, if either he or Peppers is out there, that's just going to be a better option than Duggar, who I don't think has ever been a strong coverage safety. I think that he's best when he's allowed to use his athleticism to force fumbles, make turnovers. When he's actually like coverage head on head, I don't think he's ever been as good. And so they have to put him in a better position. I also don't know if Peppers is really that guy either. And so that's where I'm like, put in Mapu. Would rather have that be the matchup. That's why you drafted him. And if they're able to do that, even with bracket coverage, that puts them in a better spot, because if they can slow down McBride, I trust Gonzalez to do his job. And if Michael Wilson is what beats you, you have to be able to live with that.
How worried would you be, Rich Hill, about Kyler Murray extending plays out of the backfield as a scrambling quarterback? Is he a big threat to you, or is he really got more of a keep him in the pocket?
No, I mean, he's definitely going to be a threat. That's how he makes his bread out there. It's one where in recent weeks, he hasn't been as productive, I would say. Like he still has the ability, right? He went 7 for 48 on the ground against the Vikings. But in general, the teams that have had the most success against him have been able to force him. They squeeze him in the pocket. That's just the classic Belichick move, is just to try and make him stay. Don't sell out on the pressure. Don't try and run past him because you give him an outlet right away. You squeeze. He's 5'10". He's not someone that can have great visibility in the trenches like that. As long as you don't give him an outlet to run from, you can do a fine job limiting his ability, right? And I think that's the name of the game. Keon White, Anthony Jennings, you have to squeeze. Godshaw, Barmore, you cannot give any ground in the middle. And if they're able to do that, force him to hold on to the ball. He's also relatively turnover prone, right? I think that he doesn't protect the football extremely well. I think when you think of the Cardinals overall, they don't take care of the football a lot. They've had a turnover in all 2 games this year. They have back-to-back games of 2 turnovers. So it's a situation where if I'm the Patriots, you try and force them to make a mistake, whether it's by, as I said, Kyler Murray, 7 fumbles on the year, and James Conner has 4. Whether you force a fumble or you take advantage of an errant throw, you have to capitalize on all of them.
You do. And will they? I guess it is the question. This could technically, depending on how you feel about the Patriots, this could be the last winnable game on the slate. They have 2 games against the Bills and the Chargers coming up after this game, and those are going to be much tougher roads to hoe. So let's get the predictions here, Rich Hill. This prediction, as always, is brought to you by Game Time. Rich, when we last met, you had the Colts beating the Patriots, and you almost lost, but due to a 2-point conversion showing some real stones, you got the win. So you get the hammer this week. Patriots are at Cardinals. Who you got?
I'm choosing the Cardinals on this one. I think that the Patriots have a real chance, right? I'm not saying it's the Cardinals in a blowout. I'm not saying it's absolutely going to be the Cardinals. It's going to be a competitive game, right? I think that the Patriots have been in a fair number of competitive games. Obviously they beat the Bears, but even against good teams, they haven't been out of it. They were competitive with the Seahawks. They beat the Bengals as a middling team. Outside of just a few real stinkers, they've been pretty competitive. That said, the Cardinals are playing for their life here. If the Cardinals don't win this one, their playoff seasons are done. They can't fall to 6-8 where they currently stand in a very competitive division. They have a game against the Panthers coming up, but then they're at the Rams and host the 49ers. If they're going to make the playoffs, they have to win this one. They're coming off of a 3-game losing streak against the Seahawks, the Vikings, and then against the Seahawks again. They need to get a win here. I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to play desperate. I think that the Patriots' weak link is their defense right now in a truly ghastly way. I think the Cardinals are able to capitalize on it, while Drake Maye in the offense still looks good. I think it's going to be a game where the Cardinals win this one, something like 31-24, where it'll be competitive, but I can see the Cardinals pulling away late in the 4th to secure the victory.
Let me guess, 31-24, Drake Maye has the ball late, throws a pick over the middle to seal it. Is that what you're saying?
Potentially. I could also see just a defensive breakdown where Kyler Murray gets the win.
All right. Well, honestly, I like 20-plus points of this offense. Rock on. I'll take that. Yep. I'm really torn, Rich Hill, on my prediction here because I said this for a long time. I think the Patriots have one more win in them this season. I think 4-13 is how they finished the year. And spoiler alert, I think they're going to beat the Chargers. That
was my pick.
I think they're going to beat the Chargers. I think that's their one win left. The X factor for that is Buffalo going to be playing for anything in week 17 or week 18, whatever it is. I don't know, but the Chargers can't beat the Patriots. That means if I pick the Patriots to win here, they finish 5-12. But I kind of feel like they're going to win. So just to make it easier on myself doing this, I'm going to pick the Patriots to win this game just to make it simple when we have to break this down in our next podcast. Not overly confident in this pick. This is kind of a toss-up game. The only thing that's really making me more confident is I think that out of this bye week, I think that Mayo, for better or worse, pays attention to the narrative surrounding his tenure as head coach, what he's doing, criticism he's receiving. I wouldn't say it's the best strategy as a head coach, but he is paying attention, and I'm really hoping he looked inward, took this bye week to kind of recalibrate things a bit, and the Patriots are going to come out of the gate swinging. They know they've nothing to play for playoffs-wise, but they have some pride to play for. They are playing teams in the thick of the playoff hunt, or already in the playoffs, and they can play spoiler for bye weeks and whatnot, and hopefully take that seriously. So I'll take the Patriots, just to keep it interesting, something like 24-17.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, I mean, I think last week against the Colts was the best we've seen this Patriots offense, right?
Yep.
Alex Van Pelt called a great game. Nothing he could have done about some of those turnovers that they had, put them in the best possible position to succeed. If he can do that again, Patriots could potentially reach 30 points, right? They were that close against the Colts. And so if they're able to do that, hey, I'll take that. That is the growth that we're looking for. Would love to see that. Would love to see Van Pelt also shift the narrative on, the first 10 weeks of the season of like, what is he actually doing out there, to if we find, that Colts game as the turning point where the rest of the season we feel like this is an above average offense or even just an average offense. I'll take that. That's a massive win. Hopefully the Patriots win. Obviously, we've talked about this. They don't need to fight for draft pick. Nope. They have their quarterback of the future. I'd much rather them feel good about the players that they have and identify players that are pieces for the future. I'd rather the offensive line look great. I'd rather Jalen Polk look awesome. I'd rather all of these players pull together and get these victories. And so I hope you're right. I hope we're breaking this down next week as the Patriots beat the Cardinals. But Alec, do you have any final thoughts on week 15 of the NFL season?
No, that does it for me, buddy.
All right. Well, until next time, Alec, you have a good one.
You too, man. See ya.